Hello, everyone. Welcome to my stream. I'm so glad to have you here, and it's a special one with a very special guest. My first ever guest on a stream, inaugural guest. We have here the amazing and talented Sarah Zed.
Hello.
Hey, it's great to have you here, and I should probably play the theme song. And everyone, I hope you enjoy the special remix.
Ooh.
The world is weird, it makes me mad, but at least I get to talk about it.
With Sarah Zed. Okay. I couldn't get to Dana in time to re-record that, but I feel like that works as well. So
I can only imagine how beautiful this remix was.
it was. I know you couldn't hear it over your end, but I'm sure it was lovely. I don't know. What do you think of my theme song? Let me
perfect,
put
I'm
you on
gonna
the stop
assume.
right now, on the spot right now. Theme song.
I like it. It's short and sweet. It's the little jingle that plays before your videos, right?
Right on. Well, I just wanted to
Yeah,
ask that.
I feel like it's
Oh, go ahead.
I like it.
Okay.
It's
I-
it's recognizable.
I just wanted to ask because my friend Dana, who recorded that, is a big fan of yours, so that'll make her day.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Could you maybe wish her a happy birthday?
Oh, it's Dana's birthday. Yes, absolutely. Happy birthday, Dana. I hope that it is a wonderful one.
It actually isn't her birthday, but I'm gonna save this and play it for her.
But
when
you can
is
use
her
it later,
birthday.
yeah.
Okay.
You can just bring it back every year.
Yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I'm really glad to have you here. I want to talk to you about all sorts of interesting and fascinating things. It's kind of weird that we're both in this YouTube space and completely disconnected from one another, but we have these audiences that overlap and see us as almost like coworkers or in the same sphere.
It's so interesting because there very much is, I think, this perception that I think probably was more true around the years of early. I don't really like the term bread tube. I think it's reductive, but in the way that it's referred to, bread tube, right? Of this community where everybody knows each other, everybody's friends. But it's interesting because it's often a label that's applied by fans and by viewers, often to people who not only aren't affiliated, but have never spoken. And so it is so interesting to be making things in the same sphere with the same general worldview and the same viewers when there isn't always that kind of level of personal connection. It's colleagues, but also not.
Yeah, this is literally the first time you and I have spoken. And
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I've watched your content and enjoyed it, and it's kind of weird because it's
Likewise.
I mean, we talk about parasocial relationships with our audience, but I feel at least on my end, it sort of feels like I have one with you. I don't know you, but I feel like I kind of know you through the content.
Right, absolutely. And I've watched a lot of your videos too. I think my personal favorite is the Ben Shapiro short story collection, just because it's so fascinating. And so I'm definitely in a similar position of you, as we haven't really spoken, but I've watched a lot of your stuff, and we both kind of have this creator title and relationship to media.
Yeah, definitely. And it's, I think, a weird dynamic. But before we really dive into things, I feel like we got to talk about what this stream is all about. We'll be talking about a bit about YouTube. We're going to be talking a little bit about Halloween. And I want to at least tease everyone because we're going to close on a very powerful note. We're going to be covering, I'll be putting Sarah to a challenge. It's a little thing I call the Ben Shapiro challenge.
Oh no.
Yeah, I it's going to be intense. It will be, I'm hoping there will be a time when you're feeling Sarah, when you feel like you have the strength, the iron flowing through your blood, that you'll just tell me, Jose, I think I'm ready for the Ben Shapiro challenge.
Okay, I'll prepare myself. It might take a little while of mentally steeling myself. Before we went on, you did tell me that you wouldn't say exactly what the challenge was, but it was something spooky, and I'm absolutely feeling that ring true for me.
Yeah, I mean, who is spookier? Is there a more terrifying person, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so let's just start with the basics, because honestly, I'm not super familiar with your background. How did you end up on YouTube, and why start a channel?
Yeah, oh God. Well, I actually started kind of doing television reviews because I watched the beginning of that the Paramount remake of the TV show Heathers, and a lot of people were sort of talking about it passively, like, oh, that doesn't really look good. Oh, I don't know if this is going to be a good adaptation, but I didn't really see anyone actually watch it and dive into it and talk about why this doesn't work and how it compares to both the original and other adaptations. So I like rattled off this video. It was like 11 p.m. I wrote it like a few hours earlier. I like went upstairs to film it in the like, because I was renting a room in someone's house because I was in my second year of university. And so I like went up to the upstairs living room and like recorded it sitting on an exercise ball. Like I placed my laptop on the windowsill and just rattled this thing off and put it online. And like nobody watched it for maybe the first week or so. And then randomly I logged on one day and it had gotten like 10,000 views and a bunch of comments of like, oh, I've never heard of this channel before. You should do this. And so I kind of started making similar content about like television and things like that. And then I think there was a bit of a shift because I made this video a few months later talking about like brands on Twitter and like fast food Twitter and what it says about capitalism and what does it mean that this is the next trend in marketing. And that sort of got me interested in making stuff beyond just, I don't like this TV show. And then I started doing longer and longer videos since then until I've kind of found this internet culture niche that I think that I've found now. And I graduated from my undergrad at the end of, or the middle of 2020. And so I kind of have a background in poli-sci and sociology. And so I've kind of tried to bring like this sociological analysis to some of the stuff that I've made since then.
Yeah, I definitely see that reflected in a lot of your content, and especially the length. The videos have gotten a lot bigger.
They really have.
What does it feel like to be one of the long form YouTubers now?
It's interesting because for me, length in a video isn't something that I have to work for or strive for. It's more like the default state. Both when I started working with my co-writer Emily, but even before that, I was doing these long videos. And I think it's been described that both of us perpetually have like cannot shut the fuck up disease. I will not just swear on your stream, Jose.
Go for it.
But
I'm not gonna censor you.
Cool. We're both, thank you. Free speech wins again. We're just both very talkative people by nature, and so I don't feel like a video is, I guess, really complete until I've said everything that I want to say about it. And I also think the more that I've been making them, the more I've kind of felt the need to like, preempt certain criticism. I don't know if this is apparent, but I did competitive debate throughout all of university. And so I have this like, the video. Not if I'm making an argument. Yeah. If I'm making an argument, there's this sort of, I understand what people might think in response to it, and I want to strengthen what I'm saying by like addressing those counter arguments or by making it clear that I'm not saying this or I'm not saying that. And maybe that's unnecessary, but it definitely does add to the length of those videos.
It certainly makes them more thorough, and it definitely more thought out, because at least from my perspective, whenever you consider what a counter argument might be, it in some ways strengthens your own argument and gives it a little more of a richness to it.
Yeah, I kind of hope that that's the intent. I guess when I make a video, I want it to feel very definitive. Like I want people to come out of whatever topic I'm discussing feeling like they have a pretty robust understanding of whatever I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's totally true. And I feel like it's kind of a weird way to describe it, but I feel like you grew up on the other side of the internet from me. So when I see one of your videos, it's a lot of topics that I had heard of, but I didn't really know much about. So when I watch one of your videos, I feel like, oh, I feel like I just got a crash course in like Homestuck, and I get it now. I mean, I don't get it, but I understand it.
You understand it enough. That's interesting because with your videos, I feel like I have a very similar feeling of, this weird conservative shooting movie is not something that I would have heard of or known about without some kind of exploration of it. And it's often these topics that a lot of people who consider themselves leftists might not want or be interested in diving into. And so I'm kind of curious for you, like, where does this interest come in reviewing like conservative fiction and conservative comedy and things like that?
Well, when it first started out, I was, when my channel first started, it was just like talking about a lot of random topics, response videos, nothing too focused or direct. But my first experience with conservative media just happened to be, going back to our boy Ben Shapiro and his novel True Allegiance, which was just, a complete horror show. And what was so fascinating about it, I found, was that it revealed so much about him that I don't know if he even intended it. It was just so incompetently put together. And I hate like this idea of like trying to interpret an author's like intent or mindset when writing, because there's so many different pitfalls, and very talented writers can come across as different things. But when someone is so just incredibly untalented and nakedly partisan, and you can see like the reflections of their genuine commentary in their work, you see this creative fiction almost as like a political document, and one that reveals so much about who they are, and in a way where their guard is let down. Like when someone produces like an op-ed or an article or something, they are speaking to an audience, and they know the dog whistles. They know like the little tricks to make them appear more reasonable and thoughtful. But with art, that guard is kind of let down, and they let you see more of themselves. And they can sort of hide behind the idea of like, oh, this is just exploring a weird idea. It's like, I think there's a bit more to it than just like, this is weird kind of thing.
Yeah, that's incredibly interesting because there is a sort of vulnerability in the creation of any kind of art, especially fiction. And so, yeah, that's a really good point. I imagine that you can find little slivers of someone's worldview in a very unintentionally honest way through their work. Have there been any really standout examples of that for you where you've watched something for the channel or just something in general, and something has really resonated with you as this kind of unintentional honesty about themselves?
Sure, there have been a number of instances where that happened, and honestly, it's like the little moments that sometimes that just seep through the seams of a work of art. I was on a stream one time when I was watching a particular conservative sitcom called The World According to Billy Potwin. Thanks to We're in Hell, who's in the chat right now, who recommended that to me, and it's starring Kevin Sorbo, and it's produced by this, hilarious guy, Kevin Sorbo. And
yeah,
his character at one point makes this random swipe at like Vermont and the people from Vermont. And at first I thought it was like, oh, they're just like, taking an indirect shot at Bernie Sanders. And it may be some of that as well. But when you look into the guy who created it, who's like, oh God, I can't even remember his name. You find out that he was actually a former or failed politician. He actually ran for governor, not against Bernie Sanders, but the other senator from Vermont. And he failed, and it just like completely bombed. But he had this one viral video, and that made him think he could like become a TV star, I guess. And it just revealed this, like, it's one of those little comments that is completely superfluous, doesn't really mean anything, but I think reveals a longstanding bitterness he has towards to his home state that kind of rejected him. And maybe this is going a little too deep into like that into his psychology there, but I honestly can't square things like that within the context of the show itself because it's completely out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, that is really fascinating. And I imagine there must be kind of like a weirdly rewarding aspect to being able to look into somebody's work and find those little tidbits, especially because a lot of that kind of conservative punditry tends to be very disingenuous, especially with people like Ben Shapiro, who very much like behaves like a debater. There's very much this attitude of that honesty and the truth are irrelevant, right? It's about winning an argument. It's about humiliating his opponents. And he's said so much in the introduction for one of his books, something about like how to debate and destroy leftists, basically saying the only reason you would debate someone is to verbally humiliate them. And so to look into, I guess, the disingenuousness of a lot of the explicitly political rhetoric, I imagine makes it all the more rewarding to kind of find that honesty in art.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you just said, it's this guise of pretending to be an honest actor, basically, when you engage in debate, when it's obviously, and as clearly stated, not the intent. It's about, owning someone on the internet.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's so interesting.
It's why we hate Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. Once more, a prelude to the mysterious challenge.
Oh, it's coming. Yeah. And okay, so another thing I wanted to ask you is, in some ways, you sort of alluded to, I hate the label breadtube as well. I think it sounds bad mostly, but it's just like,
yeah.
But there's like no denying that we have audience overlap. Like what I announced, like, oh, I'm speaking to Sarah Zed. You know, a number of people commented and be like, oh, I watch both your stuff. So in a weird way, we're like grouped into this community. Do you ever feel like you're actually part of a community?
Yes and no. I guess I would say, I mean, it's probably true of any people who are sort of coworkers to some extent, where, you know, there's people at the office that you don't really know and don't really talk to, and then people you've been able to, by virtue of like speaking with them and working in a similar environment, become friends with them. And so I wouldn't say that I feel a community with like every single creator in like that broad umbrella of progressive content, but I would also say that like just by virtue of making the stuff I've made, I have been able to find that with like certain people. For example, like I'm like pretty good friends, I think, with like Big Joel, Henry, and some other creators like that. And so I guess it is true that like what I've created and what I've made has been the catalyst for that, but then at the same time, it's not the only one, because it isn't like a universal sense of community with every single person with whom I have creator overlap, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you ever get that feeling sometimes when you see someone like, I don't know, either in the hellscape of Twitter or just like in your YouTube comments, who is also like a YouTube person, but you're not familiar with them at all, and they just draw a blank? And I don't know, personally, when I see that, I always feel like kind of bad. It's like, oh, should I be watching this person's stuff? Like, are they good? But they're just like a complete stranger.
Yeah, there's a few sort of regular commenters who I like recognize with like verified check marks, who will comment on several of my videos, whose channels I've never seen before. And so oftentimes I'll find myself having to click to their channels after a few times, just to sort of see what their deal is. And sometimes it's creators that I don't really have a kind of audience overlap with at all, or at least not one that I necessarily like know about. Like there's this channel that's commented on a lot of my videos, Kings and Generals, which seems like it's a kind of a history channel talking about various different wars, like different playlists talking about different wars and crusades and what about the Cold War. And that it's really interesting historical content, and there's probably not a lot of overlap with that and like media criticism stuff. So it's interesting because sometimes that community doesn't even necessarily come from quote unquote BreadTube. I don't know. Have you had similar experiences at all?
Absolutely. Even with the aforementioned Kings and Generals, who have commented a few times under my videos as well. Although I vaguely know who he is. I mean, I know he lives, well, I don't know, I shouldn't say that, but we have friends in common. I'll say that. And, but like, I don't know, it's like a vague connection. And I'll sometimes see people I don't have any sort of connection to, who will like have channels about things that I feel like are completely disconnected from mine. Like I can't remember the name, but it was like someone who had a channel that was related to like F1 racing or something, and it was like big, and I'm like,
oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah, it's like, oh, cool. I think that's neat that they're watching my stuff. But I think there's another element of it as well, where we're connected in some ways, not just with creators who are interested in one another, but our audiences overlap. Like whenever I go to that analytics section of my YouTube page and I see where some of my viewers are coming from, I'm sometimes like a little confused, but like, I mean, I guess I get it. Like for a while I was getting a bunch of viewers from, you know, the Legal Eagle channel. It's like the lawyer who talks about media stuff. Yeah, it's like, it's a cool channel. And I'm like, how did they come to my channel from that? I don't get it. Like, I don't have a problem with it. It's a cool channel, but it seems like a jump.
Yeah, well, Devin is with Standard, and a lot of creators with audience overlap also do stuff with Standard, so I wonder if that might be the connection there.
Yeah, maybe. It's just a weird way we all sort of get grouped together based on these overlapping audiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you ever worry that really maybe your audience is like, or at least this is a worry I have with my own audience, they get a little protective at times, like, I kind of like having that like feedback, but it seems like it's too extreme. It's either people saying, you're the greatest, Jose, you're the best, you can do no wrong. And I mean, fair enough. But then I get people who will like make these criticisms that are completely detached from reality. And it's like,
yeah,
I worry it keeps me from seeing genuine, real criticism.
Yes, absolutely. I've had that worry too, just because I've had, some criticism online for things that just feel completely ridiculous to me. Like somebody was upset that I talked about Homestuck without contacting the people who wrote Homestuck first. And it's like, what on earth are you talking about? That isn't like in no other situation would you like ask the creators permission to like review their work. It's a very odd request. And so oftentimes I do feel, I guess, almost baffled by certain criticism, especially when it's because my videos are very long, oftentimes from people who will perfectly gladly admit that they haven't watched it and don't intend to watch it, but are just referencing like secondhand narratives about what it is, or out of context clips, or sometimes just one's imagination. But at the same time, I also, like you said, Jose, I don't want the fact that I've faced what I consider to be unreasonable criticism to kind of color my ability to respond to more reasonable criticism as well. And it is very hard when you don't know if somebody criticizes you or disagrees with you, whether they're acting in good faith or not, just because of the nature of the internet and because of the nature of how many people there are. And so it's definitely a worrying thing where you don't want to open yourself up to bad faith attacks or show yourself to be vulnerable to, trolls who are trying to throw you off, but at the same time you don't want to make yourself unable to recognize the flaws in the stuff that you create, or become so instinctively defensive of criticism that you label reasonable ones as bad faith. It's a very weird thing to navigate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so essential to be able to identify those genuine criticisms, because it's like it's the only way we can grow and get better and improve our content.
Absolutely.
Getting that good feedback.
Yeah.
Is there any
And so it's
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, that makes it really hard, because is the person giving you feedback, are they saying it because they want you to make better stuff, or are these people saying it because they're trolls who want to throw you off, which isn't the majority of cases, but is something that happens. It definitely makes it very tough.
Oh, absolutely. Do you ever find that, because I've looked at some of the, I use air quotes around controversies, around some of the things you said. And on the one hand, I know people are very passionate about their fandoms, but it's still at times it's a little scary. People get really invested in these topics. Did you ever expect that was gonna happen?
There are certain videos putting them out where I knew that they would provoke specific responses, and that wasn't ever my goal of putting them out, but it's more like I know that there are some people who are going to react to this very strongly when it's released. When I had absolutely no idea that was going to happen for the first Homestuck video. I thought it was all pretty uncontroversial, but then the second one where I was like, hey, got a legal threat, people, I knew people were going to react extensively to that one. Or the one where I talked about shipping was addressing a controversy, so I knew it would draw that response in. I was hoping, though, that it would also kind of come with people maybe trying to understand what I was saying, or reflecting on it a little. And I do think that happened to an extent, but there are definitely times where I make something that I think is just a very standard exploration of fandom stuff, and it comes with this very confusing and surprising response, like with talking about Homestuck, which was, at least I kind of considered it a celebration of the comics history, and there were people just right out the gate, as soon as it came out, I can't believe you would say negative things about Homestuck. This is really, really fucked up of you. So it is very weird, because sometimes it kind of feels like you don't really know what's going to be a non-event and what's going to be controversial, because the kind of things that I would consider controversial and the kind of things that audiences would consider controversial are sometimes totally at odds.
That's so true. And what you described, for instance, with Homestuck, when I was listening to it as someone who's pretty neutral to the whole thing, because I was not familiar with it, I got the impression that it was something you were a fan of and that you enjoyed, and just the and you pointed out certain things. You're well, this wasn't the best, but people seem to, when they click on that video, it seems like people went into it I'm just sort of hypothesizing here based on some of my own experience. They went into it thinking it would be an unconditional celebration, just a love fest about how Homestuck is good in all instances and should always be loved.
Yeah, maybe it was that disconnect that kind of created that weird feeling of, oh, this is more negative than I hoped it would be. Have you ever had a similar experience? Just because I imagine you can usually kind of gauge the response to things you make just in the sense that usually the topics you discuss are expressly political. But have you ever had a response to a certain video where it's like, oh, I did not expect that, whether it was like an overwhelming type of positivity or negativity or just something surprising in general?
Definitely. Well, with the overtly political stuff, I always figure they're going to be like fans of whoever I'm talking about. They'll show up in the comments. Sometimes I'll get something like, oh, you brought up some good points. And then people just like throw whole insults, and like that I fully expect. And I have a very much like bring it on attitude. Like, give me your comments, try and be funny and original. But if you're just going to call me like an NPC or something, then spare me. I'm only interested in like the creative insults. Yeah. Actually, I'll share quickly.
Yeah.
My favorite hate comment I ever got was like one guy was like, listen up, essay, Trump is gonna kick your ass back to Mexico. And I was like, I don't live in the States, I'm not Mexican, and like, who are you calling essay, sir? Like, where's this coming from?
Fucking bizarre.
Yeah, and I just
Well,
I wanted
sorry,
to frame
Jose. I
that.
guess you can't live in the States anymore.
Oh no, what a tragedy.
I know.
But no, I do get surprising responses. I know when I started making those sitcom retrospectives, the very first one I put up, it was about the show Roseanne, and I was like, I have no idea how this is going to go down. I even released it on April Fool's Day because why not? That was an accident, but it was a funny accident.
I love that.
Yeah, it was like I released it. And I'm like, oh wait, it's April 1st. That's why all the comments are like, is this a joke? And I'm like, it's a real video. I didn't spend an hour, or I didn't make an hour-long video as a joke. But when that one came out, the reactions were kind of shocking because I got some of that defensiveness where people were like, when I made a comment about how in the first season, George Clooney makes a pass at someone that's a little rapey, and people were like, ugh, clearly you've never had a girlfriend. And I'm like, I have, and every girl I've ever dated would not like me making comments like that, and just people who were upset that I deigned to say like there were some problematic elements. But on the flip side, what I really didn't expect that was really in some ways heartwarming, in some ways in absolutely heartwarming ways, were the comments from people who, well, I'll paraphrase one person's comment where they said like they had a mother who was really into the show and they were too young and they didn't understand why their mom likes watching this Roseanne show. But hearing me describe it and explaining how it sort of embodies these working class struggles and spoke to it in a way that shows hadn't before, particularly how hard it is for women who have to work and raise kids, like they're expected to do everything. And that sort of commentary helped them understand their mother. And then they said, you know, I just watching this video makes me feel like I understand my mom a little bit more, and maybe I'm a little close to her now because of that. And I was just like, that's such a sweet comment. And I never expected
that
kind of, yeah, I didn't expect that. I was just like, this is a TV show that I never watched, but I think is interesting. I want to talk about it. And it resonated with people in ways I didn't expect.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, we come on YouTube sometimes to talk about why things suck, and I feel like we both started that way in different categories. But I think there's a power in talking about the good stuff too that sadly gets overlooked.
Absolutely. And there is a sort of vulnerability, I think, in talking about why things are good that you don't get when you're just talking about why things are bad as well, that I think is very interesting to tap into. Especially if people aren't necessarily expecting it. I think that you have to show a lot of yourself when you do talk about what things you like and what things works. And it's something, I don't know, it's something I've come to appreciate over time.
Yeah, maybe we're just getting older and getting less cynical. Do you feel like that's like, I don't know, I feel like maybe the 90s and like the 2000s and even the 2010s, media was really cynical and like hard-edged, but now it's getting a little softer and cuddlier.
Yeah, you have your good places and your Ted Lassos and what have you.
Yeah.
That's very they're very unironically sincere in a way that I don't know how well that would have been responded to in like 2011.
Yeah, I feel like people would have kind of sneered at it in a way. Like there was this element of like things, who are you to say like things are good? This is like, this isn't nursery rhyme. This is important prestige TV. Now let's talk about a chemistry teacher turned drug dealer, everyone.
Yeah. And I think there was that edge to a lot of mainstream media criticism too, of like, whether it was like sporkings and fan fiction communities where you would like go through a story line by line and like make fun of it, or, you have your like, I mean, Angry Video Game Nerd obviously is playing a character, but then you have a lot of the like offshoots, the more sincere offshoots that generated, and your like channel awesomes. And there was a very, I guess, very takedowny a vibe that's not to say that that doesn't exist today in some form, but I think there is a lot more, whether it's those like this thing is amazing and here's why videos, or even just like reviews that allow themselves to be positive about stuff. There's, I guess, less of a monopoly, like a monopolistic focus on cynicism.
Yeah, and maybe it's just like the growth of the platform has allowed these different types of perspectives as well, because now you can actually find an audience that wants to talk about things that are good and positive. And I mean, I don't know if you've noticed lately, but things are kind of bad in the real world, and I think people kind of need a break from that
I've
at
kind of gotten
times.
that vibe, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Yeah, I kind of actually talked about that in the dystopia video of like when the actual political situation became overtly much worse, this demand for this kind of grimdark dystopian material seemed to diminish with it. So I do wonder if there's this truth in the idea that in media we might seek out the things that we're lacking.
definitely, and it's like in the case of the dark stuff, it's like we're seeking bad things. Like we need some kind of balance almost.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's true. Like I would like to go back in time and see if that's true. Like the 80s, for instance, very much, an era of excess and all this sort of, well, depending on the community you're in, of course, but of like big economic growth and big hair and people dressing up wild. But like a lot of the media from that time was, I don't know, it just looked darker and grimier and grittier, or at least the stuff we remember today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess there's sometimes this desire to like seek out suffering that you're not yourself experiencing is almost this separation from it, this idea that it's happening in this like safe and controlled setting. And I wonder if there might, and obviously the reverse could be true too, like people might sometimes seek out fictional suffering as some kind of, like what's the word, some kind of solace, I suppose. But I also wonder if there's this like, I'm not truly experiencing this. I can experience it from a safe distance aspect to what you're suggesting as well.
Yeah, like kind of like riding a roller coaster. It's like it's the simulation of danger when
Yeah.
you're going to be fine. Probably. I mean, depends on the roller coaster. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a bad experience on a roller coaster, but
I'm
it was
sorry.
like it whipped around a corner and like my head banged on the side. Like
Oh.
I'm fine, but it sucked at the time. Um, but yeah, I'll still go on any roller coaster. But okay, so God, what were we talking about? I've totally lost my train of thought here. Media and needing safe distance from exciting traumas in our
Yeah,
media.
and the possible decline of cynicism in media and media criticism.
Sure. And do you ever feel like an urge or like a pressure, I should say, is a better way of describing it, either from your audience or just like the general expectations on YouTube to be negative on something, to be like, make a video where you're like, it's time to take down whatever?
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that of like talking about a specific piece of media and having people be like, "Oh yeah, like roast this thing, like tear it apart." And it's like, "Well, maybe I don't want to tear it apart. Maybe I like it." And even if I don't like it, that doesn't necessarily mean that I want to see it destroyed. That could just mean that like I want to talk about it and talk about finding it interesting. One thing, and I can't say too much about this yet. I don't know who's watching this stream. I don't know if my co-writer's in the chat or not, but we're tentatively working on this this fiction project that I don't want to say too much about yet, but kind of explores that like weird pressure that creators feel sometimes to like be negative or to have an opinion on something that I guess viewers necessarily want to see. And I think that there's a draw to negativity, whereas there's this kind of fun in like watching somebody roast something. And I think that sometimes the need for that, if you kind of allow that to become your entire brand, can become kind of exhausting and consuming. And I've also found sort of adjacent to that this weird like demand of like anything you talk about being content. Like I don't know if you've experienced this too, where you've ever like tweeted about like I watched this movie today, or like I like this thing, and having replies be like, "Oh, are you gonna do a video on it? Video when?" It's like no, I just have interests sometimes. Like not everything has to be turned into content, you know?
Yeah, I and it's like the frustrating thing is people sometimes feel very hopeful about it, and I feel like I'm disappointing them sometimes, where I'm like sometimes I remember when I tweeted about not just a few months back I watched the anime Dororo. I thought it was like super interesting, and I was like, oh, this could, and someone was like, oh, that'd be a good video, and I'm like, that would be a good video. I have no time to work on it, and I feel like it's very like narrow in its appeal, but it would be a good video. But I still have to be like, no, I can't work on this. My next couple of months are kind of booked, and sadly, there's only one of me.
Yeah, there's like this earnestness and like, oh, you're gonna do a video about this, right? You're gonna talk about this. And it's like, I won't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and some people like even when you don't put it out there that you're engaging with something or just enjoying watching a TV show, I still get people recommending me things like, you should talk about this, you should talk about that, and I'm like, okay, maybe. Sometimes once in a while I get an idea, I'm like, oh, maybe I will, I'm gonna like put that in my back pocket for now. But like the vast majority of the times I'm like, maybe you should make the video.
Well, especially when they like give you their own opinions and arguments in the comments. They're like, I think you should make a video about this thing, and I think it's really interesting because this and this and this. And it's like, I think you just want someone to say your opinions back to you. Maybe you should make this video.
Yeah, I just want to be like, be the change you want to see. Like, anyone can do this. Well, not anyone. It's you need a certain level of access to technology and time.
Masochism.
Yeah, also that helps.
Yeah.
Depending on the project, you really have to hate yourself.
Yeah, you watch so much stuff that I'm like, I'm so sorry that you put yourself through this.
God, there are times, most of the time it's fine, but there are certain projects I look back on and I'm like, this was not good for me. This is not a good, like I remember when I did a week of Tim Pool's content. That was the longest week of my life. Because it was
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Usually I laugh it off. I'm like, it's just a TV thing, or like it's just like some random videos. But this was like 5 videos every day, and it was like every day I'd wake up and it's like, well, I don't know what he's got for me today, but here it comes.
Time to clock in.
Yeah. And after
the old Tim Pool factory.
Yeah. Manufacture some takes on Tim Pool. And then at the end of the day, I was just like, oh God, what has my life become? But like at that Friday when it was all over, no, I think I went to Saturday on that one. Oh God, yeah, it might have been Saturday. But when it was all over, I was just like, I felt like I was breaking through. It was like, I don't know, what is that like scene in like the end of the Shawshank Redemption where the guy's like free of the prison and it's like crawling out of the sewer and it's like ripping off like the feces covered clothes he's trapped in, and he's like, he's free, and the rain is like baptizing him, and it's like, oh, that was me in that moment.
That's what it feels like to stop watching Tim Pool content.
It really does.
I can only imagine.
Oh, you don't want to imagine that. That sends your mind to a dark place.
Oh God, right? But yeah, that's definitely true of like some content is just kind of exhausting to produce.
Was there
Like
anything
that's
like that
kind
for
of
you?
why.
Like that was
Oh
just,
my God. It wasn't even like one specific video. It was like this 3 month streak of like videos that I don't necessarily regret making, but they were just very exhausting because like um it started with we did the Homestuck video, and that one, like I said, I had absolutely no expectation or understanding that it was going to generate controversy. I just thought like, here's a fun celebration of Homestuck and like a retrospective on it. And then within literally minutes of putting it up, it had like blown up into this thing. You know, a few hours later, I got this like Twitter DM being like, "Hi, my friend Andrew Hussey doesn't like your video," and like, it just became this whole thing. And so while I was like dealing with my emails from Andrew Hussey, we were working on the like McElroy fandom video, which like I think there's good stuff in there, but there was again sort of this controversy of like we're talking about controversies around online personalities, and like some people might agree with certain opinions or disagree, and there's this kind of exhausting nature of like both making that video, but also right here in the background I'm working on emailing Andrew Hussey to the threat of being sued. And then we put up Homestuck sent me a legal threat, and uh, then obviously that one had the entire effect that it did. And I also am pretty sure that when we were working on the Homestuck video, that was in March, and that was when the whole like pro shipper, anti shipper thing happened. And so I knew that I was going to make a video on it, and I was kind of thinking of working on that. But after those 3 months, I like sat down and talked to Emily. I was like, we can't do this. We can't do this video and this video and this video in a row. Partly just because I don't want to be like pigeonholed as like, oh, that's the, you know, the drama channel talking about all this drama, because that's not really the stuff I find interesting to do. And also just because it was really mentally exhausting. So we had this thing of like, we need a break. We're going to talk about Crime Scene Kitchen, and that's what we're doing now. And that was honestly, I knew a lot of people weren't going to watch it, but I was honestly really fine with that because it was just sorely needed.
oh yeah, it's like it was like a palate cleanser and just
Yes.
fun. I watched it. I enjoyed that one. Although
Yeah.
going back quickly to the Homestuck thing, the fact that Hussey got in touch with you, like especially since you're a
Yeah.
fan of Homestuck, like what was
Yeah.
going through your mind? Were you like excited, scared, or what?
Um, it was very weird just because it's like the sort of fan attitude around Andrew Hussey at the time that Homestuck was kind of at its peak was kind of that Andrew Hussey was like not only this like the god of this fandom in the sense of like, you know, this is a person who makes the webcomic that we love, but there was almost this sense of like Hussey being this like trickster god essentially, where like they were kind of mysterious, they were a little bit of a troll, and so they had this weird like elevated reputation in the fandom. And so they're honestly not a person I ever thought that I would be having a personal contact with. So I was just kind of imagining that whole time like going back to my past self and being like, yeah, you're emailing with Andrew Hussey who watches the videos that you make on YouTube. And that really was a weird thing for me, just very odd. And then the more the emails kind of stretched on, the more it sort of became less of like a novelty of like, wow, this is really weird, and more just the situation of like, okay, this is what's happening right now, and it sucks, and this is frustrating as hell to talk to this person. So that was a very, very weird moment for me of like people I didn't think would ever know that I existed, and also being okay with legal threats against me.
The thing that blew my mind is he didn't watch the whole video. It's like, how are you
Yeah.
even going to start this correspondence to be like, I'm halfway through the video? It's just, how?
Yeah. And then finally, at the very end of the exchange, they were like, yeah, so I watched the video. It was fine. I liked it fine. It's like, after all of this? Really? Really?
It's like, how many like hours were spent that could have just been finished? Just
Yeah.
finishing the video. That's all you had to do.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of shocked. It's like one of those like really
Honestly.
cheesy things in like a TV show where if the characters just sat down and talked for 5 seconds, we wouldn't have like 6 episodes of madness. Can they just like talk in a room for a moment? But like maybe it does happen in real life.
I guess it does. So that was a very weird experience. Have you ever had anything like that of like somebody watching your videos who you never expected to, or just like really kind of weird exchanges with people about the kind of content that you make?
Almost never the subject of what I'm talking about has ever responded, because I secretly think they're all cowards. So they don't want to address with genuine criticism, but okay. But I remember one video about how, I'm trying to remember the exact title. It's my video. I should remember. About how cops think they're the Punisher. Like they use a lot of the Punisher iconography. I got a ton of well, not a ton, several responses from people who were claiming to be either police officers or in the military as service people, who wanted to talk to me, but would always like add like, I'd like to talk to you directly, like one-on-one, not in like YouTube comments or Twitter. Like, is there any way I can get in touch with you directly? And it wasn't exactly a threat, but it was like strange. I never get that sort of reply.
That's very weird. Yeah.
I would
be immediately distrustful of that.
I would refer them all to my like public email for my YouTube channel. I'm like, if you have any comments, you can send it there, and I might send you a reply. And not a single one did. They just...
Yep, that tracks.
Yeah. It's there's something else, I think, going on there.
Yeah.
Sort of the dark side of, being in the YouTube game, I guess. You meet some interesting folks.
You really do.
But on the flip side, you meet a lot of cool people. And here's something I want to ask you about. I remember when I got... when I was very young in my YouTube career, my first year, someone left some criticism on my channel that was like, when I first heard it, I was like, how dare you? How dare you accuse me of doing a sexism here? And it was like, and I almost like wrote a reply, and I was like, excuse me, do you happen to know that I am a male feminist and obviously an ally in all ways, and I am perfectly good here? How dare you say this about me? And I'm so glad I didn't write that comment, because it's super embarrassing. And when I reflected on the person's word, I realized like, hey, yeah, that little like aside I made, I didn't need to include that. That added nothing to the video, and in some ways perpetuates something I didn't intend. Have you ever had an experience like that where early on you heard something that made you go like, ugh, how dare you say this about me and my content, but actually, ended up being something constructive?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's some truth to that. I remember kind of being frustrated at first with like one sort of reply to a thing that I said in my Twilight video of like, I was talking about like the portrayal of the werewolves in Twilight and how it was pretty racist. And I think that I used the term like, it like harkens back to like pretty racist imagery. And someone commented like, hey, I don't think that you should have said it like that. And I was kind of confused at first. I was like, well, what do you mean? Like I'm calling out the racism in Twilight. But then they kind of like elaborate, and they were like, well, no, because you're sort of saying that it harkens back, and that kind of makes it sound like it's a thing of the past, or like that it was that it's not like an ongoing social phenomenon. I was like, wow, yeah, like I did use that language. I didn't just say like, this is racist. I like did this weird euphemism of like, yeah, it like harkens back to racist imagery. And it was very true. I was like, yeah, I didn't need to phrase it like that in like this weird way. Should have just said, yeah, this is racist. And so the more that they were talking about that, I was like, yeah, that's very true, actually. So there is definitely situations like that where a criticism might initially be kind of confusing, or like, I don't know what point you're making here, but the more that you do kind of think about it and reflect on it, the more it sort of becomes clear, oh, there was a mistake here, or, oh, there's something to think about and improve on for next time. And so I've kind of kept that criticism in mind when talking about those issues, and I'm glad that that person said what they said.
It's so interesting that for you it was a language thing, because it was the exact same thing for me. I had like put a caption on a video like saying that a certain commentator likes to go on for a while, and it was a female commentator. That there's like a stereotype that women are just like chatterboxes, that kind of thing. And I didn't even realize it that wasn't my intent, but it doesn't matter that it wasn't my intent. The same way, like when you make that comment about like it harkens back to this, I don't think you were intending to say like, and racism is over now. But the way you use language, it's so important because the audience might not, like, they can't read your mind. And when you put it in a phrasing, when you use phrasing like that, like something is lost in there and can create impressions in people that you don't necessarily intend to create.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I kind of feel this frustration around it because it's like, oh, is this like a real criticism, or are you just like trying to find like the worst possible interpretation of what I'm saying? But that's also kind of like what we were talking about earlier, this curse, because if you kind of assume that everybody who is worried about something or hurt by something is acting in bad faith, sometimes it isn't always clear what you meant. Or even if it is, you can still, you know, further a certain worldview, or you can still say something that can be harmful. And so I definitely think that there's a lot of truth to that.
And, you know, it goes full circle and in ways makes you a better writer, I think, which as people who write scripts, that's certainly a useful challenge or useful skill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I feel like we've done a lot of serious talking. So maybe we can talk about something a little more fun, a little more seasonal, a little more spooky.
Absolutely. Ooh.
Before we came on, you told me that Halloween was in your top 6 favorite holidays.
I did.
That seems like a pretty wide, a large list, I'll say, for holidays. I have to know what other holidays are in that top 6, but then let's talk about some Halloween.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was being a little tongue-in-cheek there. I'm a pretty big Halloween fan, but a lot of people hate Christmas. They don't like the holiday. They don't like Christmas music. I am not one of those people. I love it. Like the music, like the gifts, like the family time, like the food. So I'm a big Christmas aficionado here. Let's see. I used to not like Valentine's Day, but now I like it because it's a day for love, and that's a great thing to celebrate. So I'm a supporter of Valentine's Day. I'm a supporter of April Fool's Day because you just get to be a little jester. You just get to be a little prankster, and I think that's a rare opportunity that we get, a socially sanctioned opportunity to mess with people. That's just a delightful holiday, I think. I guess actually just any holiday that involves desserts, like when I was growing up, I had no idea that Easter was like a religious holiday. Like I had no idea what the significance of it was, because I was like, oh, you get chocolate. Great, it's the chocolate day. There's so many chocolate days, and so it's still ingrained in my head as chocolate day. And I think that that's also why Halloween, along with the just aesthetic and the spookiness of it, is such a delightful holiday.
I'm so glad I could get an impromptu Sarah Zed's top 5 favorite holiday list for everyone, because everyone loves lists, right?
Absolutely. Oh, it's people's favorites. That's why people read Cracked now all the time.
Yeah, it's there's a website that will be with us forever.
It's booming.
Yeah. God, I just Halloween. That's Halloween. A holiday. Do you have any like what memory, or like is Halloween still a thing for you? I mean, kind of tough nowadays with the pandemic, but is this something you still celebrate and enjoy, or is that more of like an element of your childhood?
I definitely have the association of Halloween with childhood for me, just in the sense of like going trick-or-treating and what driving to the rich part of town to get the full-size chocolate bars and feeling very clever, being like, aha, they're gonna give me better chocolate here, and they do. And like dressing up and all that. I have the fun memories of like when I was a teenager and like started getting into cosplay, just getting to like go all out for Halloween costumes and having fun with that. I haven't like really done, I mean, obviously not trick-or-treating. I haven't really done a ton of costume stuff, just because being older, also pandemic, also, I live pretty far away from like most of my friends now, just because like after I graduated, like a lot of we're all kind of scattered around different parts of Canada and the States in some cases, so it's hard to do a lot of in-person stuff. But I enjoy like buying chocolate and watching horror movies, and not that you need a holiday to do that, but it's always fun to have that excuse, I suppose. How about you? Are you like a Halloween celebrator?
Kind of. It was definitely something I was more into as a kid. Obviously, did the trick-or-treating thing. Same old thing, going to the rich neighborhoods to get those big chocolates.
Gotta do it.
Yeah, and it was always like, maybe you can relate because you're also living in Canada, that it gets cold when you go trick-or-treating. And I was always like the kid who would always just never to wear my winter coat over my costume because I hated that. It made me look terrible. Like, how can I scare people if I'm supposed to be like the Grim Reaper? But he's a little chilly, so he has to wear his coat.
Yeah. I'd always wear it under my costume. Like, I think I was like Red Riding Hood one year, and my mom like gave me like this big puffy coat, and then I put the cloak on over the jacket. So I always looked vaguely puffy for my costumes.
You're like a stylized version of Red Riding Hood.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, it's definitely something that was more of like my childhood. When I was a bit older, I would go to like costume parties. I remember like the only costume I can even remember that was like dear to me was when I started wearing a captain's hat, and that was the whole costume. And I just was telling everyone I was my alter ego, the captain. And I would speak in like nautical terms and just be a weird old dude. And I wanted to get a corncob pipe, but I couldn't find one. And it was just, I don't think anyone was enjoying it except for me, but that made me enjoy it even more.
That's all you need.
Truly. And, for that glorious night, I was finally the captain.
This was exclusively a Halloween thing, yes? This wasn't just like a personal bit.
I considered making it an everyday thing for a little while. I was like, maybe I'll always be the captain. This will just be who I am now. But I don't know. The sea is a harsh mistress, and I don't even live next to the ocean, so it's like,
yeah, you're in Ontario, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the mean seas of Lake Ontario.
There's some truth to that.
Depending on where you go, definitely. Although earlier you mentioned that you would combine your costuming with your cosplay. Were you like going as like characters people would recognize, or were you like going up to people's doorbells or doors, or not even doors, going to costume parties and being like, who are like, what are you? And you just roll your eyes, be like, don't you recognize I am Shanoa from Tales of Vesperia, or something like that?
Ugh. I've been roasted. I absolutely did that. One year I did the makeup and I was Rabbit from Steam Powered Giraffe. The steampunk band where they play steampunk robots. And so all of these, like, I think I was like 13 then. It was one of my last years of trick-or-treating, and all these parents were like, oh, who are you? And I was like, I'm Rabbit from Steam Powered Giraffe. And it's just like, these words mean absolutely nothing. So by the end I was like, I'm a steampunk robot, and the word steampunk robot still meant absolutely nothing.
Just a lot of polite nods and, oh, you look very nice.
Yeah, I think I did a lot of robots because I was GLaDOS from Portal, like a human version one year too. I had the Aperture logo painted on my cheek. I had like this white wig, and nobody knew who that was either. That was actually a pretty common thread with costumes, is I would have to simplify it to some like less obscure reference. I would just be like, I am an android, and they're like, sure, okay.
How did you even do GLaDOS? I can picture it in my head, but not as like a human costume.
Yeah, so what I did is I bought a white dress from like Value Village, and then the like light patterning that appears on like the GLaDOS face, I sewed fabric, like the yellow fabric of the yellow eye, onto the dress. So basically the dress was the face, and then I got the long white wig. I painted the Aperture logo onto like a pair of white boots, and then I did one on the cheek, and then I did this kind of like white and gray, like robotic-y makeup for like my eyes and like lipstick and stuff.
That sounds
silver.
Intense.
That's the color, not white, gray, robotic. There's a word for that color. The color is silver.
I'm glad we got there.
We got there eventually.
Got some color theory in there.
Oh yeah.
Cosplay was always something that kind of interested me. I only did it one time.
Ooh.
I dressed up
Who
as
are you?
The Blue Spy from Team Fortress 2.
Ooh.
It was a pretty simple costume. I just had to get like the ugliest suit I could find, blue with pinstripes. Got a little vest, got the gloves, but it was like I couldn't find the mask because it's like this blue spandex mask, and I was like, where does one even find this? So I had to go to the darker parts of the internet and I bought a sex mask.
Oh my god.
I had to cut it in ways that made it more like it was in the game, but like I should have taken a before and after because the mouth hole was like
Oh no.
completely circular with like padding around it. And I was like, I don't want that anywhere near my mouth. Even when
Listen, if it works, it works.
it worked. Once I made the appropriate cuts, and even
course.
even when it arrived in the mail, it was like the most suspicious package. It was like not in a box, not in an envelope. It was just wrapped in paper and kind of crumpled up, and all the labels were like from somewhere in East Asia. I could not tell you from that writing. Like some factory just birthed this garment and delivered it to my home in ways that were will hopefully always remain a mystery. But I still have the
that's
mask.
always the quote unquote like discreet packaging and like the vague customs label of like this is leather clothing, and it's like that's not as discreet as you think it is.
No. Well, thankfully this one wasn't leather. It was like spandexy. They didn't mention there were sparkles on it, thankfully. I didn't expect the sparkles, but it was cool. I was a fancy spy.
Oh, okay. That's probably for the best that it didn't mention.
This has sparkles now attached to all. It's like a box you check for the customs label now. Okay, so we've wandered a bit from Halloween as a topic, but we were talking.
That's true.
We talked about earlier about possibly doing a tier list for Halloween candy.
Yes.
I have found one for us. It's a little bigger than I intended. We'll try and go through these a little quick because like there's a lot of candy and some of them are very bad. I just realized, can you even see my screen or what's going on in the stream?
No, I cannot, but what I can do is I can find the stream on my own YouTube so I can see the visual. Oh, there's 239 people watching. That's so many people. Okay,
Yeah, it's blowing up.
Okay, perfect. Here we are. All right, if you put a visual on the screen, I should be able to see it.
Okay, can everyone see it? Like, I should probably ask that. Oh, wait, I should probably turn off
It's just the
preview image.
the Jose Sarah Z graphic. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Okay, we got the stuff here.
Okay.
Clearly, we got a lot of candy. Some of this is just going straight to the trash. I can tell you that straight up. All right, so let's start. Hershey's Cookies and Cream.
I love Hershey's Cookies and Cream. A lot of people hate white chocolate, and I absolutely respect that. But I love just like the crunchy texture of like the almost Oreo crumbs of it all. I'm a big Hershey Cookies and Cream fan, but I do know that it is a contentious chocolate.
I am also a huge Cookies and Cream fan. I'm like tempted to put this right at first gone, like right at the top here.
Absolutely. Coming out the gate strong.
We're already hitting a hit. Do you know how they make white chocolate?
It's I know it's not quote unquote real chocolate, so it's not made of cocoa butter. It's some kind of flavoring and some kind of other fat, right?
I think so. This comes from my dad, so I don't know how reliable an authority he is on this. But he did work at a restaurant where they did use white chocolate, and he said the way they made it there, at least, is when they would like boil like the milk and stuff, and all the fat like rose to the top. They just like skimmed it off the top, and they would add some stuff to it, and it would harden and become delicious chocolate.
I love that. It's not the chocolate you find in nature, but the chocolate that you create that counts the most.
Absolutely.
I think that's beautiful.
I want all my chocolate to be artificial. Okay, so next we got Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. This is another strong one, at least for me.
Yeah. I would say the only thing that weakens it for me is that like the texture of the peanut butter can be a little bit grainy sometimes. Like I think that it's pretty high tier as far as chocolate quality goes, but there's almost like this kind of pasty nature to the peanut butter sometimes that if it were like, if you've ever had like the quote unquote like fancy versions of a peanut butter cup from like Rocky Mountain Chocolate or something and it's almost whipped, it like lets you see what it could have been, you know?
I see what you mean. So it's like, this is just a pale imitation of like the true potential of a peanut butter cup. Mm-hmm. Okay, I get that.
But it's still good. It's still very tasty.
I think I'll propose A tier. How does that sound?
A tier.
We can always
I
make
think it's A tier.
adjustments. We can always make adjustments. All right. Kit
Oh
Kat.
yeah.
Kit Kat. Is this regular? Yeah, regular old Kit Kat. I will confess, I am not a Kit Kat fan. I had those like fancy, cool Japanese Kit Kats. Those are awesome.
Ooh,
But like
yes.
this is just regular, so we have to grade it as such.
Yeah. Did you know that Canadian and American Kit Kats actually taste different because they're produced by, I think, Hershey's in the States and Nestle in Canada, so the recipe is slightly different?
Oh, I had no idea. Which is better?
Yeah, I
Or
didn't.
have you tried both?
I've tried both, but I wasn't really able to taste much of a difference, so it's hard to say. I think they're probably pretty similar. Oreos, however, are a similar food that use slightly different recipes in Canada and the U.S. because of that. And I think Canadian Oreos taste better, although there's more product variation in the States. Yeah, I would consider Kit Kats to be like a pretty average chocolate. Like, I don't think they're bad, but I don't think they're like particularly remarkable either. Like, they're maybe B tier for me. Are they like last gone tier for you?
It's somewhere in between. I'm willing to compromise on B tier just because, like, I there are things I would eat after a Kit Kat. So how about we say beer?
That's fair. Okay.
100 grand. That's an American chocolate. I think I had it once.
I've
20
never
years
had
ago.
that.
So where you go? We'll put it in the bottom tier. Sorry, Americans. Get your chocolate across the border, and we'll give you a real opinion on it.
Honestly.
Reese's Pieces.
Ooh. They're pretty good. I would rather have a peanut butter cup than pieces, but they're still good. I still like them.
You know, once upon a time, I was super into Reese's Pieces, but like that time in my life has passed. I don't know what has happened with me. If maybe I've just grown as a human being, and I am now
Yeah.
simply more.
You've transcended.
Yeah,
the need.
I would put it at a solid B.
Yeah, B. I agree.
Okay. Sweet tarts. I think we have those in Canada. Do we?
I'm not. I've had them before. We do have them here, but I don't really buy them, so I'm not like a sweet tart expert. They're fine as far as I remember. Like they're perfectly okay. I would never reach for a sweet tart, you know?
Me neither. I feel like this is something, if all my Halloween was gone, then I might pick up a sweet tart. So I'm thinking
Yeah.
last
So maybe
gone.
it's a last gone. Yeah.
Okay. I can't read this.
I
Oh, Three
think that's the
Musketeers.
Three Musketeers.
I've never had a
I
Three
used to
Musketeers.
love Three Musketeers. It's like a whipped kind of chocolate, but then I got older and then I realized that they're not very good. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Because if you've never had them, and I haven't had them in a long time, perhaps they're just of a bygone era.
You know what? I will put my fate in your hands. Where do we put Three Musketeers?
Let's say I don't know what those are. I think that's the democratic choice.
Fair enough. Next, Pixie Sticks. I'm not a fan, and my memories of childhood with Pixie Sticks are the kids who would pretend it was like
Pretending
cocaine.
to snort them. Yeah.
Then I had well, not friends, but people in my school who did snort them. That was
Yeah,
wild.
I think same. I think that's the only thing that Pixie Sticks are really good for is for edgy children to pretend to snort coke. So I would put them in either last gone or in the trash just because I don't think that I think they're just sugar. I think that they just serve to be fake blow for kids.
I'd put it in the trash just because I don't want any of those like edgy kids at my Halloween party, to be honest.
That's true. Those are not the people you want to be inviting.
Nah, sorry, edgy kids.
Those are the
Go-
kids who would sing cha-cha-cha when you sing happy birthday.
Oh God, yeah. God, you really just like crystallized that for me. Okay, Airheads. I think I've had one of these a long time ago, but do you have any Airheads?
Fine. Yeah, I mean, I've had them once or twice. It's like those kind of chewy, they're almost waxy for me. They're fine. I would never reach for one. They feel last gone for me. I wouldn't throw one out, but it would not be my first pick.
Well, we got to have something that's at the end of the day. The last gone
It's
stuff.
true.
I don't know what this is. Some kind of biscuit?
It looks like
Big
like a
something?
like a toffee chew kind of thing.
I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
We don't know what this is,
Yeah.
clearly, so it can go there.
This is a mystery dessert.
If this is your favorite thing, I'm sorry, but it's not at our party. Next, Nestle Crunch. For a little while, I was super into this chocolate.
Oh, I've never had it.
It's kind of like it's like a milk chocolate thing, but it's got like these rice crisps in them.
Ooh.
It's pretty good. I wouldn't put it at like first gone. Not even sure I'd put it at an A tier, but I think it's like a solid B at this point.
Okay, I mean, it sounds tasty, so I absolutely trust that.
Okay. Next, we've got these probably known in the States as Smarties, but in Canada we call them Rockets. Those like little candy discs.
Yeah. Um, they taste like chalk a little bit, like sweetened chalk, and sometimes that's what you want, I think, but
Is it?
they're not. I mean, I don't know. I have childhood memories of drawing stuff with playground chalk and saying, "Wow, I sure wish this pink chalk tasted like strawberry." And with Rockets, they can, and I'll give them that. But not
So-
my favorite.
Someone who has that anecdote is someone I would want at my party, so I'm gonna at least have it at last gone, I would say.
That's respectable.
Okay. Sour Patch Kids. These are, I did not know this, but apparently they're vegan. Which
Oh yes,
that like
I
raises
think I
them
know
in my
that.
mind.
I think I know that because of that Jubilee video about the fake vegan trying to find the vegan in the crowd or whatever. Because someone's like, those aren't vegan, and then someone's like, yeah, they are. I feel like for me, I don't associate Sour Patch Kids with Halloween. I associate them with going to Cineplex.
Yeah.
Because I would only ever like buy them. Okay, it's not just me. That's a movie theater candy. That's not a Halloween candy.
Okay. So do we say it's disqualified?
Into the trash. Disqualified into the trash.
Sorry,
even though
Sour
it's a good
Patch Kids.
candy.
I think Sour Patch Kids are pretty tasty, but this is Halloween we're doing, okay? Not Night Out of the Movies. Next is Nerds. I think I
I feel
stopped
like
I stopped liking
Sorry,
them
go
at
ahead.
at the age of 6 is when I stopped liking Nerds, to be honest.
you outgrew them pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the like offshoots of Nerds are better than the actual Nerds. Like Nerds ropes are really good, but just like the regular Nerds candies are just average.
Would you still want them there? Like either
I would want them there. I would put them in B tier personally, just because like it would not be the first thing I would reach for, but I would still definitely. I would eat Nerds before I would eat like Sweet Tarts or Airheads.
Fair enough, actually. Like now that we have these more like grounded comparisons, you have a good point there. Let's put Nerds to B. Good and Plenty. Isn't that also a movie theater candy?
I've never had them. Do they have them here?
I don't know. I've never had them, but I always saw them like on sitcoms. People would like get a Good and Plenty going into the movies, so that's my association. We can put them in.
I guess it goes in the don't know tier.
Yeah. Twizzlers.
Tied for the largest tier so far. I'm not a big licorice person. I don't really like licorice. I like red vines more than Twizzlers because we don't have them here, so they were like this forbidden fruit that I would only get when I got to the States. So for me, they just kind of are like wax, and so I'm not a Twizzlers fan. But if you like Twizzlers, then that's absolutely fair.
I don't really like them. My mom loves Twizzlers, and I don't know. I'm not gonna invite my mom to this party. I'm sorry, Mom, but I think it would be weird if my mom showed up. So
Yeah.
I think I might put this one in the trash.
Yeah, I'd throw out a Twizzler.
Cool. This is cropped weird, but I think it's Dots. I have no idea
Dots.
what those are.
Yeah, that's those gummies. They're like these gummies. I liked them as a kid because of the packaging, just because for some reason the notion that you could eat dots was so fascinating to me because it felt like this like power. And so I think that's why I liked dots, not because they were actually good. I think they're a pretty average candy.
Okay, I will totally leave it in your capable hands on what we do with the dots.
Let's make them last gone. Like, I don't think they're Kit Kat level or Reese's Pieces level, but they're not like, I'm not going to throw them out either, you know?
Okay, we don't want to waste all the candy here.
No.
So next we got M&Ms. This is just plain chocolate M&Ms, to be clear.
Oh, plain ones?
I like the peanut M&Ms, but the plain ones are just fine, I think.
I feel like they're solid B. Like there's not.
Yeah.
I actually, one thing I do for M&Ms is I like them when they're a little warm. So I might hold them in my hand for an unusually long time. And then when I eat them,
Let them
it's
get
like,
a little melty.
yeah, the chocolate's kind of melty. That's my advice on how to eat M&Ms, everyone.
I
It's a
see.
solid
That could
B
raise them by a whole tier. B tier, yeah.
tier. I don't think they're going to escape B, even with the special technique, but
That's fair.
it's fine. Next, we have like just
What are
gum. This
what
is
are those?
a lot of gum.
I don't think gum counts as candy. I had this debate on a Discord server once because I said gum wasn't candy, and people were like, "How is gum not candy? What is it then?" And I was like, "It's gum. It's its own thing." So I don't think it counts, but I don't know. I guess I don't associate like gum with Halloween. I feel like that's what you get if you go to the house of somebody who hates Halloween and hates trick-or-treating and hates children.
See, my problem with gum, I mean, I'm totally on board about gum being gum, not being candy, or at least that's like the broad definition of candy where you count like chocolate as candy. I'm like, come on. I guess
yeah.
everything is sugar. Everything like fruit is candy now. Congratulations.
Yeah.
If you're abuse of the English language. But
Right?
the thing about gum is like once you start chewing it, it's like that's it. You're not gonna have any candy for like the next 30 minutes because you chose gum. So I mean, I don't know if I would put it in the trash. I would put it in like the disqualified list.
Yeah. I guess the
Trash can be where things get disqualified too.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true. Do we put it in the trash?
Much
then?
like Sour Patch Kids. Yeah, let's throw that gum in the trash.
There you go, gum. So these Andes things, I don't know what they are.
Never heard of that. Looks like an After Eight-ish, maybe? I don't know.
It's very fancy. I wouldn't expect to eat this on Halloween, but
Yeah, I feel like that's what like a grandparent keeps in their drawer.
yeah, it's weird off-brand candy. Next are runts. I have not had runts before.
Neither have I. So I
Is this
guess
another
that
I
goes,
don't know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Crowded
This
list.
is such an American-centric list of candies.
It's not getting any better because now we got Laffy Taffy, which I've heard of but never tried.
Me too. I have no idea if Laffy Taffy is good or not.
Wow, we have so many Americans watching right now. We're like, you've never had a Laffy Taffy? It's like, no.
God, they're always like, I can't believe you've never heard of Scrumbo Tungus. That's the best candy ever. You've never had a Scrumbo Tungus?
It's like, look, we got ketchup chips up here. Just don't come at me with your inferior junk food.
Honestly.
Okay, Werther's Originals. I have had those. I think they are
Yes.
quite good. I know
Yes,
they're
I
old
don't
people
associate
food,
them
but
with Halloween, but I still think that they're pretty good as far as candy goes. You feel sophisticated, I think, as a child when you eat a Werther's Original.
it's 100% an old people's candy. And, you know, not Halloween. I guess
I
it's...
saw a horrible post once that I think about every time I think of Werther's Originals, which was that somebody was joking. They said, if there's daddy doms, are there grandfather doms? And then somebody said, if you're good for granddad, you'll get a Werther's Original. And now I think about that fucking post every time I think of Werther's Originals.
Well, there's one candy I'll
I
never
hate
have
it so
again.
much.
Straight to the trash now. Because
Yeah,
it's
right?
a weird old person sex candy in my mind.
Yeah.
God, it's going to be in a couple of decades before I'm eating Werther's again.
Fair.
I hope, anyway. Now we got these strawberry things. I feel like these are the dark horse candies for Halloween because I don't know where they come from. I don't know what they're called,
Yeah.
but they're delicious.
I feel like, do you get them in the bulk, like a bulk barn or like the bulk section of like grocery store? I feel like I used to see them in like bulk candy areas, but I don't know if that's an imagined memory or not. But they were always a rarity, and I feel like that makes them special.
Yeah, I always only have like one or two in the bag. And like you say that as if I know where to buy them. I have no idea where people buy these. They just...
They materialize. They might be from another dimension.
It's like, yeah, maybe that house you just went to isn't really there. Like next day you go by and it's like, where did the strawberry house go? I think that makes them extra
There was a
Halloween.
strawberry house here, but it burned down 50 years ago.
That's how every story should end. Like, no joke.
Right?
Every movie, everything would be better if it ended with like someone like just like imagine the end of Avengers, like Spider-Man goes to that planet Thanos was on, and there's just an old man in a rocking chair, and like Spider-Man's like, oh, we beat Thanos, and he's like, Thanos, he's been dead for 40 years. It's like he's a ghost.
Tony goes to the Avengers Tower, and they're like, the Avengers Tower? There was an Avengers Tower once years ago.
Yeah. It's like,
Okay. So what tier are these weird interdimensional candies?
I have to put strawberries at either A or First Gone, just for like the value of them being there.
That's true. I vote for A tier personally. I feel like that's a reasonable ranking for these guys.
Sure. I'm glad we're getting these upper tiers. We need more like strong candy.
Yeah, this makes it seem like we just hate candy.
I know.
Like we're the fucking dad and the Tim Burton Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, just burning all the candy.
Okay. Hershey's Kisses. I don't really think of this as a Halloween candy. I feel like every holiday
Yeah.
but Halloween.
I feel like this is like a Valentine's Day candy for elementary school when you would get like a little bag in front of your desk and it would get filled up with candy and like store-bought Valentines. I feel like that's what a Hershey's Kiss is for, but
I feel like I have to
It's not
disqualify
very-
it.
yeah, it's trash for this.
Sorry, Hershey's Kisses. I do like those ones that are like swirled. I don't know if you've had one of
Ooh.
those. Like those are pretty good.
Ages ago. I don't really remember them well, but I've seen them around.
Okay, we're still on the Hershey's land with like Hershey's milk chocolate.
I feel like it's just so boring. Like it's just chocolate. Like there's no exciting things added to it. It's not particularly good enough chocolate to justify just being chocolate. Like it's very mediocre for me.
I'm sort of with you on there. I'd put it a little lower because I can think of other like plain chocolates I like more than Hershey's. Like I prefer Cadbury to Hershey's personally.
Yeah, that's last gone for me.
Yeah, sorry Hershey's, but they're superior
Yeah.
chocolates. Mike and Ike's. I've never had a Mike and Ike's.
Ooh. They're good. They're like have these kind of like gummy-ish little pellets. You kind of feel like you're a rat being rewarded by a scientist. It's very satisfying.
Ooh, does it like fit Halloween?
I feel like Mike and Ike's are one of those ones where you get like once per Halloween from like a rich person's house. It's not like a regular Halloween candy that like most people are buying and handing out, but if you go to one of the like full-size chocolate bar houses, you might get like one or two Mike and Ike's.
Okay, so like where are you gonna place this in the list then? Because I have no
I
Mike and Ike's
would-
experience.
I feel like it's a B tier
Okay,
for me. That's a respectable B tier.
sure. Welcome to B-tier
Candy.
Mike and Ike's. All right, now we got Snickers, which I feel like is one of those filler candies. Like it's not bad, but it's always there, and it's always like
Yeah.
I always feel like I guess I'll have a Snickers, and it's never a bad experience. It's
Yeah.
just an experience.
It's not special, but it's not depressing either. It's a Snickers. It's fine.
Yeah,
I guess
would-
that makes it B.
yeah,
tier.
I think so too. Never had an Almond Joy in my life.
Nope, me neither.
Glad we could figure that one
I
out.
never had a Baby Ruth either.
No.
Or wait, what does that say? Caramel Funko Pops?
Apple Pops.
What does that say? Oh, I've never had one of those. I don't even recognize the logo.
We are storming through these. What is this?
We are.
I can't read it, and it's on my screen, so best of luck.
I'm trying to zoom in. It's Coffee Crisp, maybe?
Definitely not Coffee Crisp.
Is that a... No, this is an America. Yeah, I have no idea. Oh, Charleston Chew? Is that what somebody said in
Is
the
that what
chat?
it is? Is it Charleston?
I
Chew?
don't
Maybe it
know.
is.
That's
I
just
don't-
the most recent message.
We know where
in
it's
the
going.
chat.
We don't know. We know where it's going. so
Yeah,
we
this
don't get-
mystery candy. Okay, someone else said Charleston Chew.
Okay.
I always thought Charleston Chew was gum. I didn't
Like a-
realize it was chocolate.
I thought it was like a taffy thing, but
I guess it is. I don't know why I thought it was gum. I guess because it has chew in the name.
well, it makes sense.
I learned something today.
Well, that'll be the one takeaway for this stream. Mr. Goodbar, never had it.
Never had it.
Have you?
No, never had it.
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay, this gum I have had.
double
I
bubble.
think the problem with the double bubble is that it's disappointing because when it's fresh, it's really good, but it's so often stale and chewy, and you have to like just absolutely work at it as if it's a jawbreaker to like get it to be gum instead of the kind of rocks that you excavate if you're an archaeologist.
I feel like it's good gum for blowing bubbles, but literally that's it. And like you said, the brief 5-10 seconds of flavor when you first put it in your mouth.
Oh,
And
it just dissipates, and then it's just
now it's
like
chewing.
food replacement paste they give you in space.
Wow, I never want to go to space. I mean,
Right?
it's gum anyway, so it has to go here. But
Yeah.
I'm glad we could get
Garbage.
offer some commentary on Double Bubble.
Truly.
Swedish fish. I feel like our Sour
Ooh.
Patch things, but
I associate it with movie theaters too. Are they both Maynards? Are they both Maynards
yeah,
candies?
I think
That might be why.
There's a Maynard version of Swedish Fish. I don't know if they're just exclusively Swedish Fish, but or what
Oh
this is.
yeah, I didn't realize it might not be a brand name.
I mean it's a movie theater thing. I think they're pretty solid. But I'm never too excited for them. I mean, they're still going here regardless. With the other non-Halloween candies, like Blow Pops. What is this? Why are these all clustered together? Or do you get Blow Pops for Halloween? I should ask.
I've never had a blow. Wait. No, I have. I have had them. I don't think much about them.
Okay. So if I put them in the trash, would that be a controversial thing for
I
you?
would not remotely be offended at the relegation of blow pops to the trash.
Okay. Fireball. I've never had a Fireball.
No, me neither. I don't think I've ever even seen a fireball.
Sorry, Fireball fans. I think these are Tootsie Pops or Tootsie Rolls. That I do associate with Halloween, but not like I don't know what these flavors are.
Yeah. I don't know what those would taste like.
Me neither. So I think it's a mystery candy.
It's a mystery candy.
I'm learning we don't know a lot about candy. But
I guess we don't.
Fun Dip? I don't think Fun Dip is a Halloween thing. That's like you're passing by a convenience store and you want something a little exciting, so you get a Fun Dip.
Yeah, I think that it's... I don't know. I've never seen a Fun Dip for Halloween candy. That's not what it's for. It's not for that.
Trash it is.
Do we throw it in the trash? Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out of here, Fun Dip.
We never liked you anyway.
No.
Now
You're a novelty and nothing else.
You'll never be a staple candy.
Never.
Tootsie Pops. I feel like that's definitely Halloween, but like, I don't know. I'd always get bummed out at Tootsie Pops because they were good, but they were never great, you know?
Yeah. Like, there's potential there, but it just doesn't meet that potential.
I thinking Last Gone.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same.
I almost want to do the next two together, Fruit Roll-Ups and Gushers, because these are grocery store candies that you do not give out on Halloween. Like, why are
I
these
don't
here?
associate those remotely with Halloween. I like Fruit Roll-Ups. I especially like Gushers because I had them in kindergarten when they were giving out like, I think it was the Scooby-Doo packs where there were like the weird like matte blue ones and they felt so special. And so that's always what Gushers are in my mind. So they're good, but they're not like Halloween-y, are they?
Not at all. It's like, I would never have thought like some weird fruit juice would be a plus. Well, I don't even know if it's fruit juice, fruit sugary thing in candy, but it works.
Liquid, yeah.
So it's going to the trash, but not like, don't feel bad for yourself.
But with
Gushers.
respect.
Yeah. Much like Sour Patch Kids and
It's not
Hershey
personal.
Kisses and Werther's Originals, it's choices had to be made, all right? Like,
Yeah.
get off our backs already. Haribo gummy bears. Like, I've only had these for the first time like 5 years ago. And
I like them because Haribo macht Kinder froh. And so, you know, they're very special in that sense. I would put these as like B tier personally, but wait, are Werther's
Why are Werther's Originals on the list twice? I just noticed that.
I don't know.
Right next to the Haribos, there's more Werther's Originals. They're like begging us to change our minds. They're like,
Okay.
are you sure?
First, we'll put Haribo on B. That's totally fine. Werther's, I don't know what kind of shit you're trying to pull here. Why, like, the Werther's lobby infiltrated this tier list, but you're going straight to
Now
trash.
you just go in the trash twice.
Yeah. Now you got embarrassed 2 times, so enjoy your fate,
Yeah.
Werther's.
Congratulations, Werther's.
Okay.
What is a Heath?
I
I've
don't
never heard of that.
know. I do know where it's going, though.
Heath Ledger brand. Nothing candies.
They were really hoping well, they had higher hopes for the long-term potential of that bar, I'll say.
Yeah.
Butterfinger. This is one of those chocolates, since I loved watching The Simpsons when I was a kid, I wanted to like, but like even as a child, I couldn't justify it. I was like, no, it's just not good. And
I think it has a delicious name to make it sound better than it is, which to be fair is true of all candy, but I don't think that it works here.
I mean, I'm willing to just put it in the trash because I don't like it.
Yeah, that's
So,
valid.
one
I'd
of the-
put them in last gone, but I think trash is perfectly fair too.
Well, I'll pull my weight here as the one who's actually controlling things.
You have to make the tough decisions.
I didn't ask for the power, but here we are. Hot
Heavy
tamales.
is the head.
Yeah.
Hot tamales. I would say they're good, but you have to be in a specific mood. I think that's true of any candy that like causes pain. You know, you have to be in the right mood for it. Not every day is going to be a hot tamale day, you know?
True. Does that mean it would be like a last gone, or is it when it is a hot tamale day? Would it rank higher? And maybe
I
we
would
can
say
like
it would
average
rank in
it out.
B on a hot tamale day and in the trash on a not tamale day. So I guess that averages out to last gone.
I'm gonna take your word on this one. It's been too
Okay.
long since I had one of those. One thing I've never had is a lemon head.
No, me neither. I'd never even heard of these until a few months ago.
There you go, lemon head. This is literally my first day hearing about it. Now another.
Oh, I hate those. They're
Tootsie-
like filler candy
Uh,
for me.
they are not trash or weed. I don't know what these are. These are Tootsie Rolls, aren't they?
Yeah. They're not very good personally. Like, I don't know, they just feel like filler that like bulks out the bag but doesn't have a pleasant taste to it.
Fair enough. I have no feelings about them one way or the other, so they can go in the trash. I don't know what these things
Hell
are.
yeah. Those are Jolly Ranchers, I think.
They are. Oh yeah, those like weird log shape ones they give out on Halloween.
Yeah,
Okay.
like the hard ones.
I like some Jolly Ranchers. It's like it really depends on the flavor for me. Like the good ones are good, but the bad ones are like,
The blue ones are really good.
oh yeah, blue is good.
Ooh. Not a blue. Oh no, you're a blue pen.
I am. Blue is
Yeah.
good. I
blue's
kind of
good.
watermelon is the one I don't like.
No.
I
They're
want
pretty
to
hit or miss, I guess.
That's why I would put it at B. If it was just the good flavors, I'd put it at A. But if it was just the bad, it would go in the trash. But I think the good weighs it up to
Yeah.
like a B.
It averages out. Yeah, I think that's fair.
All right. Junior Mints is a movie
Okay,
theater candy.
Junior Mints are another movie theater. Yep, absolutely.
Why are they doing
Movie
this
theater
to us?
in the trash.
Ring
This
Pops.
isn't just cinema.
Why are Ring Pops here? Did you ever get those for Halloween?
Maybe? I don't remember ever having gotten them for Halloween, but it's definitely a possibility that I might have. I like them though. I like that you can wear them around and
Oh,
be the
jewelry,
child
like-
with the most swag.
Yeah, that could be like a costume like accessory too, couldn't it?
Ooh, that's a very good point. There's sort of a Halloweeny vibe to that itself.
That's it was I was thinking this is going in the trash, but now I feel like we're talking it up to like at least a B tier now.
Yeah, it's the aesthetic of it really helps save it.
Ring Pops. Surprise turn to the B
Ring
tier.
Pops.
Payday.
The dark horse of the competition. uh,
I've never
What?
had a Payday. It's an American
I-
one. I know.
yeah.
The
Never
crowded-
heard of it.
I don't know tier. Toblerone.
Okay. Did you get Toblerones trick or treating?
Never.
I feel like that's a
Here.
rich person. I don't know. I feel like if you got Toblerones trick or treating, you like, I don't know, own a yacht.
Yeah, you're not invited to our Halloween party. How about that? If you got a Toblerone.
You're a class traitor, actually.
Yeah, sorry. Get out of here, Toblerone people.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got the peanut M&Ms, which I feel like just by default are going to rank higher than the
Ooh.
regulars at least.
Those are an A tier for me personally. I'm a big peanut M&M fan.
I have to agree, and it's so good to have another A tier up here because this is like
Absolutely. They were getting lonely.
I don't know what this thing is. Mamba?
Mamba? Mambo?
Mambo?
No idea.
Well, back to I don't know. Milk Duds are theater. This is like half of this is movie theater candy. Milk Duds?
Yeah.
Also, Milk Duds are awful. I had one and it was just like
Yeah. Okay, so these go in the trash for two reasons.
There you go, Milk Duds. Milky Way. I don't know. I have no strong feelings
I
about
don't think
Milky
I've
Way.
ever had a Milky Way. Are they just Mars bars? Are they the same as Mars bars?
They're a little different from my experience, and it was fine. It's like I'd put it like either at Snickers or lower in terms of quality.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay, well we're gonna go with Last Gone for Milky Way.
Yeah.
Now and Later.
What are now and later?
They're American candies.
I've heard of
so-
those. I don't think I've ever had one. Oh, okay. We have an apple. We have an apple over here.
This goes to the house that's getting egged, I guess. Like who does this?
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think apples are tasty, but there's two parts of this, which is the one that looks like a Red Delicious apple, which is the worst apple. If it was like a Honeycrisp or like a Cortland or something like that. And then secondly, I think it's the principle of the thing, right? Like apples can be tasty, but it's Halloween, and I think that the existence of that apple is an act of hatred and malice, which makes me want to throw it out. It's a passive-aggressive apple. It's not a gift, it's a curse.
This is maybe the best take you've had of the whole stream. Apples are evil, and well, I like apples outside of the context of Halloween. It just like kills your soul as a child to get an apple, and we were talking
It's like
about
a
this.
fuck you.
Yeah, it is. It's like, sorry, kid, you thought you were getting a treat. You're just getting an apple. And this is like
Yeah.
abusing the term candy, right? Like, this isn't candy. It has sugar, but it's not
No.
candy. So how dare you, apples?
It's just fruit. Exactly.
I almost want to make
It's
a how dare
principled
you tier
trash.
just for the apple.
Absolutely. I take personal offense to the existence of this apple.
Okay.
What are
Raisinets?
raisins? Oh, there's raisins in it? Fuck that.
We can put that in
sorry,
the
I'm not-
trash. I'm putting it there
Okay.
because I think it's a movie theater candy as well. Like,
Oh, I thought the apple was an act of malice. Look at that toothbrush. Look at that fucking toothbrush just sitting there. I feel like there's a passive aggressiveness to the toothbrush that's not there for the apple. It's like, yeah, here you go, you cavity-ridden child. You're allowing yourself to gorge on candy. Let's look upon your shame and look at what you'll need after, you disgusting, like, candy eater. I don't know. There's always, like, this kind of passive aggressiveness, I think, to giving someone a toothbrush on Halloween. Unless you're a dentist, and then it's fine. But if you're just, like, a random adult, then, like, go away. What are you doing?
what makes it even worse, just like piggybacking off that perfect description, is that it's not just insulting like you as some like cavity-ridden child. It's like insulting your parents. Like, you think my parents don't buy me a toothbrush and give me toothpaste? Like, you've insulted my whole
Do you
family
think
with
I'm
this
Dickensian
treat.
orphan?
You think, yeah, some street urchin for you to like throw a shilling at, so I'll be on my way?
Do you think I'm Oliver Twist?
I
Yeah,
would like,
garbage.
yeah, another like if we had the how dare you tier, it would go there right next to the apple. So
Absolutely.
I'm so glad we could
Skittles.
finally take down toothbrushes.
Honestly.
But sure,
The worst enemy of our time.
Skittles.
I think Skittles are a very good candy. I like them.
I am fine with Skittles being around, but it's nothing I would ever reach for.
That's fair. Does that average out to B tier?
I would say so if you're putting it at an A,
Yeah. Okay,
Sure.
average of a B.
B. I feel like we just came back to Smarties again. What was the other
Yeah, are
thing
those
then?
rockets again? Wait, were the other things not rockets? What? Well, to be fair, Werther's were in there twice, so maybe it's another repeat.
Maybe, and it's also going to be Last Gone because I feel like we need to be consistent with our values here.
Yeah. Ooh,
Starburst.
Starburst.
It really depends on the flavor, I think. It's very much
Yeah.
a Jolly Rancher situation with Starburst.
Mm-hmm. People always say the pink Starburst is the best, but I'm partial to the red Starburst personally.
Me
That's just like
too.
the best kind for. Yeah, I feel like we have very similar tastes and takes for most of these candies, which I greatly appreciate. Yeah, I guess it's
What
probably like probably B, right? Because the really good ones could be A, but then like the orange, I don't like the orange ones personally, and that kind of puts it down for me. So like maybe a B on average.
I think that's fair. Um, I would say it's more deserving of B tier than Jolly Ranchers even, but
That's true.
because I think the lows of Starburst aren't as low as the low of Jolly Ranchers, but
It's a very good
and
point.
highs might be a little higher, but it still averages out to a B.
The epic highs and lows of Starburst candy.
Truly is like
What is
start burning.
that?
Sugar Daddy. I have
Okay, this and the Werther's original, like really sensing a theme here.
yeah, I feel awkward about having a sugar daddy at my Halloween party.
Yeah,
So
I don't think they're invited.
no, I think I'm just going straight to the trash. I don't know what it is, but I still want it in the trash.
Yeah, I don't like the vibes.
No, like
Um,
get a new name.
oh, so here's a controversial moment. Candy corn. What do we think?
I do not like candy corn.
Me neither.
Okay, that could have
I
just
don't
gone
hate
very
it as much
badly.
as I don't hate it as much as some people hate it, but I also would never reach for it. Like, I'm never like, oh yeah, I want candy corn right now. It's just like, that's a thing, I guess.
Would you have it at the party?
I would not throw it in the garbage, but I wouldn't eat it if I had substantial options.
I would say it's like last gone of the last gone for me. That's like
Yeah,
it's
like a
very
very last
borderline.
gone.
There are people who
Yeah.
do like it, and I'm okay with those people being at the party. We just, I kind of don't want to include it now because I don't want to start a fight where people are like, "You're eating the candy corn." It's like, no.
Oh, good point. Maybe it's safer to just throw it out so that it just doesn't get brought up at all.
Yeah, I think we just have to do it for the sake of the party. I'm sorry, candy corn fans,
Yeah.
but have more common tastes in candy, I guess. God, I feel like this is really making us make some hard choices about our friendships.
Yeah, these are the kind of decisions you have to make at these parties.
Okay, Twix.
Twix.
There's something nice, I think, about a chocolate that seems like it's designed to be shared with someone. It's like a
Yeah,
friendship chocolate.
I like Twix a lot. I think it's better than a Snickers. It has similar vibes, but it's just got that better taste to it.
I feel it's like in my mind it occupies a similar place as Snickers, but when I eat a Twix, I have find myself having enjoyed it a lot more. Like
Yeah.
I'm like I feel like it's an A tier.
A tier. Yeah. A tier.
Okay.
Okay.
Warheads.
Ooh, Warheads, a sour candy. I feel similarly to Warheads as I do to hot tamales in the sense that you need to be in, you can't just like reach absent-mindedly for a Warhead like you would for a Skittle. You have to like mentally prepare yourself. You have to be in the right mood to kind of experience a Warhead. And I don't even think that it tastes good. I think that it's almost like some kind of pain ritual to eat a really sour candy. Like it's not about enjoying the experience. It's about finding enlightenment through suffering in the same way that, you know, why some people get tattoos.
You have a very high-minded approach to Warheads. Does it like trouble you that it's named after this like incredibly violent, destructive activity and you have this very almost Zen-like relationship with the candy?
I think it's a very accurate title. You know, the Warheads has become Death Destroyer of Worlds. I can't fault it for being honest about what it is.
I think you've breathed some real life into Warheads for me. It's been a while since I've had one, but maybe I need it to meditate on my life and where it's going at some point. And we may have found the philosophical candy.
Yeah.
But all
Maybe it's
candy.
Last Gone
Okay.
because you need to think about it. You know, It's the sort of candy that turns you into a monk, and that's not the kind of thing you should take lightly.
No, it's like on the way out, you give people a warhead and just tell them, you know what to do with this, and go on the journey you're on, and
Use it when you're ready.
yeah, be safe on your travels.
Exactly.
Okay, now we got Whoppers. I don't know what the hell these things are. Whoppers?
The only Whopper I know is a burger, am I right?
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
Welcome to the...
I don't know any of these.
You don't know what a York peppermint patty is?
No? I mean, I know what a peppermint patty is. I don't recognize that brand.
I've had one before, not for Halloween, and if you ever need something to make you vomit, get a hold of one of these things, and it'll do the trick.
Okay, so we're throwing that in the trash.
Yep. And then 0. Yeah. I don't know.
What is a 0? Yeah.
It's in the I don't know pile, because there we go. There we have our tier list. I hope you all finally know what candies to value in your life. Apparently most of them,
Yeah.
we either don't know what they are or they're going to the trash.
Yeah, I guess we're really anti-candy, but those few ones that do make the cut, I think will make for a wonderful party.
Much like the guest list for this party, it will only be the elite that show up.
It's exclusive. Jose, through this discussion of candies, I think that I've prepared myself for a great challenge in life. And I think that I'm ready to take the Ben Shapiro challenge. I don't know what it is, but I think that I'm ready for it.
You speak with some degree of confidence, and I feel as though it is true, these words you say, that you are ready for this challenge. And in some ways, you have known all along. You mentioned your favorite video of mine was about his short story collection.
That's true.
I have procured a small section of one of his stories.
No.
It is only a page, and the challenge is simple. You will have to read this passage in its entirety without stopping. Natural breaths are okay, but you cannot stop to laugh. You cannot stop in confusion or disgust. You simply have to read a page of Ben Shapiro's fiction in its entirety.
Okay, I'll do my best. All right, I'll try.
Okay, you have two choices here. You can either do the homespun, like, I don't know, Americana Kids in Appalachia story, or you can go with the science fiction one that's a ripoff of The Giver.
Okay. You know, I feel a little left out from my friends right now because they've all read Dune and they're all seeing this movie and I don't know shit about Dune. So I feel like to scratch that science fiction itch, I'm going to go with the Giver ripoff.
Okay. This is the opening page for it, so there's absolutely no setup you'll need for it. I am going to be sending you this as a text message on Discord, and you will read it. And just give me a moment here to bring it up for the people so they'll be able to follow along.
Absolutely.
I don't want people to see these notes, actually. It's for my new video, and I don't want to spoil it just yet.
Ooh.
I know.
I'm intrigued.
Let me just get a fresh document here. And I'm just going to copy it now. And, it's go right to the top. It's in all caps. That's part of the story, not the title.
Oh, God. Okay.
So, okay. As I bring it onto the screen, I'll be pressing enter and we can begin.
Okay.
Oh, wait, my message is too long.
Oh, we might have to break it up into a couple or send it as a text file. That could work.
Sure. Well, let's just do that quick.
Okay.
We almost got through the whole thing with no text problems or tech problems.
I guess this had to happen at some point.
It wouldn't be a stream without it. Luckily, it's not like I have to rewire the matrix here. But here we go. Wait. And there we go. I sent it to you.
Okay, perfect.
And as you open that up, I will bring it to the screen.
BSChallenge.doc. Oh, Ben Shapiro is what BS stands for. I assumed it was just like a roast of the challenge.
Hey, I thought of that in advance. It's like, okay, begin in your own time, steel yourself, find your place of power, and begin at your leisure.
Okay. All men are created equal. He had seen those words somewhere before. They were hazy in his memory. They were a dream only partially remembered after waking up with bright morning light hitting his eyes. Each day he thought he came closer to remembering where he had seen them before, but then he would shake his head and keep moving with the teeming crowd. Past the enormous archway emblazoned with those words, past the Ministry of Education. He knew what education was, but had no idea what a ministry was. Past the Ministry of Price Control. He had no idea what price control was. Past the Ministry of the Chancellor. Everyone knew who the Chancellor was. Finally, he would shuffle to his workstation at the Ministry of Energy, where he would spend his day turning on and off a spigot. Every time the light turned green, he turned on the spigot. Every time it turned red, he turned it off. And with each turn, he was happier. He was an older member of the, proper noun, city, but he didn't remember that. In fact, he had no idea how old he was. He just remembered coming into his spigot station each day, putting his ID card in the machine, removing it, going back to his living space with its clean white walls and its fully stocked refrigeration system and its television reruns, going to sleep, waking up again, another day older. Each morning, he knew, the spigot would need to be turned on and off. It was comforting. He had no family. There was a woman who came to his living space once a week for sexual relations, on Tuesdays. She spent exactly 1 hour. She was not beautiful and she was not ugly. She wore the blue uniform of the Ministry of Personal Needs. He did not know her name. Today was Tuesday, and he was happy. He had no friends. He worked with others, and once every week, 4 new people would come to his living space on Wednesdays. The 5 would play cards together. Then they would never see each other again. It was all in good fun, and it allowed him to always meet new people. Wednesdays were not as happy as Tuesdays, but they were happy. Tonight was a Thursday night. On Thursday nights, the members of various ministries would come together for a nighttime stargazing. It happened on the well-manicured lawn of the Ministry of Culture. When he got to the lawn, there were already thousands of people milling about. He did not look for anyone he knew. He knew nobody. Nobody knew anybody. There were no cliques. There were just thousands of people happy to see one another. And he was happy too. The night was not too cold, nor was it too warm. The climate control system made sure of that. The people all sat in ordered rows with enough distance between them to ensure personal space. And the stars too were in their orbits, their distances the same as always. Except one star. It shot across the sky, a bright flare in the velvety purple-black darkness, and he felt a disquietude move through him. His stomach rumbled. His mind turned over. The star blasted through the calm of the evening, leaving sparks in its wake. And suddenly, his hazy dream burst into consciousness. He found himself standing, tears rolling down his face, gazing up at the sky. A terrible longing filled him, a feeling of dread and of hope, a new feeling, an old feeling. The star tore the night apart, leaving day trailing behind it. When he looked around him, he saw thousands of eyes in thousands of faces. Staring at him blankly.
Whoa. Sorry. You came so close. You came so close.
I'm sorry. He saw thousands of eyes in thousands of faces. What is this prose? What the fuck is this prose, Benjamin? What are you doing?
I want to commend you on the incredible effort you pulled here. I was thinking, this is too easy. She's killing it. She almost started laughing, but recovered. She's going to do it. But with 4 sentences to go, because that blankly is a full sentence.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry to say this. You did not make it.
I didn't.
Past the Ben
God,
Shapiro
I really
challenge.
wanted to fucking say something at the fucking... Today was Tuesday, and he was happy. He had no friends. It's like, yeah, I mean, this is a self-insert, so that tracks.
I feel like there's a lot of him inserting himself. He'll mention... he was small, but then he had a growth spurt. I'm like, oh, Ben.
Oh, that's wish fulfillment, Ben. You'll get there. I believe in you.
It's happened more than once in his fiction. and also multiple references to Britney Spears, which, okay.
Huh. There's something there.
Yeah.
There's definitely something there.
But that is the opening to the third story, whose name I don't even remember at the moment. But I don't know. Are you intrigued? Will you now seek out this short story to read further about the nameless man and the thousands of people with thousands of eyes?
And the city. I mean, who wouldn't want to? I want to read about the state mandated girlfriend. And
that was a detail that was gratuitous, I think.
Yeah, the randomly generated friends. I love that you don't even get the same friends each week. You just it's just like a random re-roll every time.
I also like how he mentions the ministry of the Chancellor, and everyone knows who the Chancellor was. Yet we never hear about the Chancellor in the rest of the story. He never comes up.
He's just a figurehead. He's like the queen.
Yeah. We're supposed to be scared of him for exactly one chapter, or one paragraph, rather.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Chancellor's like a pretty scary word. And ministry, like, that's a 1984 word.
Oh, yeah, totally. They had ministries then. Do you know where else they had ministries? The Soviet Union. Just,
oh my God.
Ripped from the headlines of the 1950s.
Really makes you think.
Definitely, I am doing many thinkings right now. Mm-hmm. So I'm so glad that you attempted this challenge, even though it didn't quite work out.
It's true.
You gave it your all. You put it all out there, left it on the field, and
absolutely.
I still feel like this stream was a success.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think we made a pretty solid candy tier list, mostly comprising of a very large garbage pile and some unknown candies, but there was some gems in there.
It's going to be a banging party, especially if we read these Ben Shapiro stories for people, because what could be more terrifying than these visions of the future of poorly written dystopias?
Mm-hmm. It's very thematically appropriate for Halloween, but not for the reason Ben Shapiro wants it to be.
Well, on that lovely note, I think we're just about wrapping up here. I want to thank you so much for coming on the stream. It's my first time ever having a guest, and I think it was a complete success. I don't know, do you have any final thoughts or feelings you'd like to share with the Jose audience?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, thanks for inviting me onto the stream, because I had a really fun time, and I definitely think it bodes well for inviting future guests. I think it was very fun, and I don't know if I can really thank you for making me read that Ben Shapiro story.
You can
I can't
think
say
those
that
things
was a
privately.
positive experience, but I can think it was an interesting one.
Okay.
But for real, thank you. This was really fun.
Oh, happy to have you on. If this becomes a regular thing, sometime in the future, we'll have to do it again. And
yes, absolutely.
I want to thank everyone for watching. Obviously, this couldn't be done without you. A few super chats came in, and I very rudely did not read them, but they were just generally very positive and nice. And thank you so much for the kind words. And they were directed to Sarah as well, who I'm sure is also appreciative.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much.
And
all right. I'll have to head off, but this was really fun.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Okay.